We're all about facts, not fear, and providing information that really can help you and your loved ones stay safe. My favorite doctor, Dr. Kohli. Hi, look at you in leopard. What is that? It's very cute. Hi, there's been a lot of talk lately about how this virus spreads. And we've been told it's mainly through droplets, right? But now a new report from more than 200 scientists say the virus is actually airborne. What does this mean, Doc? And should it change what we're doing?
Hi, Tori. I wore this especially for you. So let's talk about droplets versus airborne, because this is an important concept. So I want to start by saying this is not new science. This is just a new warning. So I don't want anyone to freak out about hearing this. But droplets are basically what happens when you sneeze or cough. Sometimes you even see them. They're large particles that are emitted from your mouth or nose that can contain virus. They tend to be very heavy, so they fall to the ground very, very quickly. And that's how they contaminate surfaces, which you can touch. On the other hand, aerosols are what happens when we're talking or laughing or even breathing. And so they're teeny tiny particles, and they can actually stay suspended in the air for much longer, up to 3 hours in the case of this virus. So the reason that this warning is now coming out is because even though droplets are still the primary mode of transmission, aerosols are thought to be a secondary mode of transmission. So we have to be careful getting close to people, even just talking to them. We have to be wearing those masks, as we've talked about, and we have to start thinking about ventilation systems, because those tiny aerosols can get into air vents and ventilation systems.
It's not a conflict of the information we had, it's just more information.
Yes.
That's good to know.
All right, Doc, this viewer wants to weigh in on another area where there's been changing information as well. Kevin writes, in the beginning we heard COVID-19 had a mortality rate of 3%, but now we are hearing the mortality rate is dropping. What's going on with this?
This is a great point to bring up, and I really want to talk about this. So what's happening is that the leadership is actually putting forth a false narrative because there's an upcoming election. So the idea that our mortality rate is going down is actually completely ludicrous.
Wow.
And let's talk about why that is. So the first is the fact that Johns Hopkins looked at the case fatality ratio, which means out of the 2.9 million infections that are diagnosed, we've lost 130,000 people. That's a case fatality ratio of 4.5%, actually higher than what it was at the beginning of the pandemic. The second is that this has shifted to a younger population, as we've talked about, and those people are just less likely to die. So it's nothing about how we're doing with fighting the disease or controlling the disease. It's just in a different population. The third is some people believe we're actually undercounting the deaths. The fourth is, as we're finding more cases, the percentage of people that are dying of the cases that we find is going to go down because you're affecting that ratio. And so I really want people to understand that this is really something that's being put forth as a way to show how well the pandemic is controlled. There's a tiny grain of truth to this because we have gotten slightly better at treating the disease as physicians. A new therapy called dexamethasone, which is a steroid, has been shown to save lives. So part of this is true, but it's a tiny, tiny portion, and most of it is just propaganda put forth to make it seem like we're doing better than we are.
I would love it if our government and our doctors could get on the same page. That would be so helpful.
And not make this a political thing.
Totally, completely agree with you.
It sounds reasonable.
It does. Isn't that insane? Thank you so much, Doc. It was great seeing you. There's no panic, just prevention and precaution. Someone made fun of my shoulder Cuomo shrug, but I'm going to do it anyway.
I think that was me.